Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 40 of FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock mode. Last episode we were bottlenecked by the lack of box nuclear fuel to make bedrockium. Now looking in our drawer here, we have just under 1,000 pieces. So that's apparently our production over the course of almost a day. Pretty high. So I made some small changes to our mass fabricator setup before leaving the server ready for the night. The biggest change I made was that I switched to running 3 mass fabricators. The limit of a mass fabricator is that it can only consume 1 scrap box per, I don't know if it's per tick or basically there's a maximum rate at which it can consume scrap boxes. So by adding more mass fabricators, we can just consume scrap boxes faster. Another change I made was that apparently recyclers can go over 1 operation per tick. So by adding, like at 10 overclockers, it runs 1 operation per tick. But at 14 overclockers, it runs more than 1 operation per tick. Based on the fact that it shows 60 here sometimes, I assume that means it's running 4 pieces of cobblestone per tick. So to support that, I've also had to upgrade all of these to have a maximum number of world interaction upgrades. So there's each of these 10 transfer nodes has 5 stacks of world interaction upgrades. That costs a lot of diamonds, but we have a lot of diamonds, so 55,000 of them. But yeah, it means we're making more scrap, which results in more scrap boxes, which results in more UU matter. In fact, if I turn this off, we can kind of see, we can kind of see the rate at which produce UU matter. It's like for a, I don't know what unit of time it is, but per screen update. But it's a lot of UU matter. Anyways, all that's been turned into Mox nuclear fuel. So what exactly did we need that for? It was like it was a component in some crafting, right? I guess it's the energy cells or flux capacitors. Draconic flux capacitors, we need 64. That's a lot of draconic flux capacitors. Yeah, and we needed 246 pieces of that to make bedrockium. I think it was for awakened cores mostly. Alright, well, 86,000 bytes. Start. So with that, I think we'll be ready to make 4 more creative energy cells. When it comes time, I'll pick up our 27 solar panels from here, although I may as well let them generate energy up until the last second. I'm surprised this process takes 20,000 draconium. That's half of our draconium stores. I'm glad we had large draconium stores. Next problem is this process takes 1,200 thaumium ingots, and thaumium takes 4 precantatio each, so that's like 5,000 just about precantatio. We only have 400, so we need to somehow find what contains a lot of precantatio. I guess ender pearls? Shards? Ender pearls are 2 and 10. I kind of want something that's relatively pure precantatio. I mean, great. That, I guess 1/3 from netherwort. It's 25% from shards. Yeah, there's no great source. Additionally, I only have 5,000 netherwort. I think I never planted netherwort in my farm, so netherwort's probably not going to, Wait, do I have no glowstone? Wow, that's surprising. Hopefully I don't need much of it. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna figure out, I guess we'll just use shards then. That's what, 25%? Next problem. All of those shards, because they only contain 25% precantatio, which we use, the other aspects are just going to clog up our storage cells here. We can either expand the storage or void the excess. Like I don't, I'm using mostly aqua shards, but we definitely don't need 6,000 aqua, right? I can just happily void that until we're down to like 1,000. But let me see, it might just be easier to make more storage. I think it's easy enough just to make a handful of 64k Essentia storage cells. The only reason I stopped at 4k before, right, was that we couldn't automatically make Salus Mundus, but now we can. So, start from 1k's. Let's see, it's Wow, that drained my wand completely. What's the ratio here? It's 27 1Ks per 64K, I believe. So if I get like, I don't know, 4, I guess that'll do. That's 108. This is awkward. The 64K, like the storage cell itself, takes a little bit of thaumium, and right now I have so much thaumium in the queue that I can't. If I add more to it, I'm going to be waiting forever for it. So I think I'm just going to craft a little bit of thaumium by hand. Find where my mess maker is. It's 4 to 1. So that should make 16. 15. Close enough. What's that bubbling sound? Are there items in there? Yeah. Alright. Make a mess. 4 of these 64K drives should hold all the essential we need to complete the pack. In a long-term sense, it probably is good to set up a auto-voiding system for essential you have way too much of, but I honestly just don't care. We're going to be done with the pack in a couple of episodes, I think, so there is no long-term to be worried about. Anyways, now I guess it's just a waiting game for all this thaumium crafting. While all that crafting happens, it'll take it some time because it has to make all the thaumium, and then it has to make some void metal. This 2-minute estimate is not even close. But while that crafting happens, let's gather up the components for real this time to make the creative tank. So that's 28 bedrockium drums, which hopefully we have enough leftover materials for. Oh yeah, that only takes 168 max nuclear fuel. And then, let's see, we only need 1 tank. So the tank is used to make the Everlasting Guilty mana pool, but the tank doesn't really help you make the mana pool in any way, so I think we never need to make more than 1 tank. But just 1 tank will do. Turn NEI back on. So yeah, that's 1 controller and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 7 minus 1, 48 pieces of glass. 1 controller is very cheap. I guess it's because we already have the Tesseract for it. And was it 48 pieces of glass? That's convenient. You make these 16 at a time, so it uses exactly 3 of our resident frames. Alright, well, that was easy. The Bedrockium drums are actually quite good. They hold a tremendous amount of fluid, 65 million millibuckets, and they retain their fluid when broken. Yes, I never really had a need to buffer this much fluid for anything. So all that's missing now are the 4 creative energy cells, and all that's missing for those are these flux capacitors, which we've crafted some of them, but a lot left. As we continue to wait for resources then, let's start gathering stuff up and crafting the other components we need for the creative mana pool. So let's start with low-hanging fruit. Let's get a chest to hold it all, and start putting the components in here. So we need 4 null catalysts. Easy. And then we'll skip the Gaia spirits because that requires some stuff. 1 of each of the blood magic slates. Let's go get 1 of each. Our auto crafter has made it so we have a stack of, or 8 stacks of each on hand. So 1 of each, thank you. Are there only 5 types, or is there a 6th one that I don't have yet? Goes up to demonic, ethereal, ethereal. Okay, I think that's all the slate, right? The ethereal slate doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't become anything else. Then there's 1 of each Botania rune. So I think I have all the tier 1 and 2 runes, but I still have to craft some of the tier 3s. Once again, back at our runic altar then. So I pinned the 6 that I need. I apparently had a spare wrath. So all these recipes are a tier 1, a tier 2, which get refunded 2 mana diamonds and a demonic slate. 2 mana diamonds, demonic slate, and then just a mix of, air and summer apparently creates lust. And the last of these is pride. Pride cometh before the fall. Anyways, that should be all the runes. It would be a very evil trick if one of the runes was just randomly not needed. I'm going to assume that's not the case because I don't feel like looking through that entire list to make sure, but let's stash one of each rune. And then I should have 6 left over because we craft by the 2s. Well, I think that exhausts the low-hanging fruit. So next up, let's tackle the Gaia Spirit ingots. These require Gaia Spirits, which require killing the Gaia Guardian. Shouldn't be that bad. The Gaia Guardian boss arena requires 4 of these Gaia pylons to build. So I think we should have all these materials, but it requires an infusion. So let's get it and then start and do the infusion 4 times. The world looks all kind of weird through the portal. First of all, it looks like there's missing blocks there. No, they're actually there. They're just occluded by the mana pool. And for some reason, this mana pool, like those mana pools, are invisible, but the other ones aren't. I don't know. Anyways, it's infusion time. So this infusion also uses Praecantatio, which means it gets to compete with our alchemical construct for it. Oh wait, no, it looks like the alchemical construct is no longer using Praecantatio. I guess that means it's making void metal now. Never mind, no competitions here. Anyways, this does use like 128 total aspects, so it's gonna take it a little while. I should make sure I have enough Fabricio. Yep, I got plenty. Alright, so I just have to do this infusion 4 times. The last pylon is just about done, then all we have to do is build the arena. Thankfully, the Lexica Britannia lets you like place a view of it, and then you just have to place the blocks over the ghosts. We're not going to put it here. Set aside a little place over here. This should be enough room. Unless you let creepers explode, there's no real block damage done either. And with that, we're ready to start the fight. In this version of Britannia, there's like 30,000 ways to cheese it. You could flood the arena with water, and the Gaia Guardian won't teleport to anything that isn't like solid land, so it'll just stand still, let you whack it. You could, I'm sure there's more, but what I'm going to do is I place a spark here, and I'm just going to hit the spark with my 27x27 AoE weapon, and the splash will hit the Gaia Guardian. So, a nice combat music, but all I have to do is stand here and left click the spark, and the Gaia Guardian will die. Actually, in this version, can I summon multiples? You can. There's a lot of exploits that have since been patched. Actually, he does damage to me. I should get food so as not to die, because I don't actually have good armor. Maybe I should have built decent armor first. But he also turns off creative flight, but what I have is jetpack flight, which is not creative flight, so, you know, I don't care for the rules. But yeah, the Wither's damage still actually hurts me. Maybe I should just move my regen over here. Ow, ow, ow. After this one, I'll move the regen over here. But once we get through the intermission, all I'm doing is spamming left click on a spark. It's not exactly thrilling gameplay, is it? Most of these exploits have been addressed in Britannia for Minecraft 1.12. Both like the spark clicking is addressed because I think the Gaia Guardian just kills sparks in the arena automatically, and you can only summon one at a time, and he's allowed to teleport into water again. But anyways, yeah, there we go. Tough fight. I'm just going to max out the radius on our environment controller here, so anything within 100 blocks, I assume the arena's within 100 blocks, will get regen 3, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. Anyways, from that, we got 32 Gaia Spirits. That's probably enough, but I'm just going to do some Gaia Guardian 2s. Not because it's needed, but because why not? It's just as easy as the Gaia Guardian 1 because I'm cheesing the fight. So, you craft these Gaia Spirit ingots, and then you offer these as the sacrifice to the beacon. Make sure my spark's still there. And just start clicking your start clicking your spark. I'm just gonna skip past this, so I'll do it off camera. And we're done. I do warn you that if you do choose to do the fight like this, there's a very strong epilepsy trigger. You get like these half-second spurts of blindness, which turn your whole screen black, and then it goes away and it turns your whole screen back to normal. So do keep that in mind, I guess. I'm not going to put that footage up because of it. It is extremely flashy. So it's actually quite unpleasant to the eyes. Anyways, we're done. While I'm collecting my loot here, the game seems to be in denial that the boss fight is over, and has continued to play the music. Which is, I don't know, it's good music, so I don't mind. After I cleaned up, I did have to relog to get rid of the music. As much as I like it, it's a little loud to record over. Anyways, as a result of those fights, we have 128 Gaia spirits and a bunch of dice of fate, 8 of them. So each of these can contain one of the relics. You got an apple, a teleporty thingy. One of these rings is good. I forget which one. The key, I like the key. Oh, actually, this, if I can get all the rings, I did get all the rings. In this version, they can be combined together, and you get the, basically you get the effect of all 3 rings in one. And then you can just wear that in a bauble slot. The most interesting thing it does is it gives you 10 extra hearts and immunity to like suffocation, fire, a bunch of other stuff. So I don't know, nice to have. Anyways, the rest of these, like, you can, if you have mana in your inventory, you can eat the apple. I'm not even going to bother demonstrating that. I've shown off the Key of King's Laws before. It's interesting, but it's not that interesting. Alright, cool. So that's the Gaia Guardian taken care of. That was fun. And a reward from all that is 4 Gaia Spirit Ingots for the Everlasting Guilty Mana Pool. Alright, geez, now I'm really out of low-hanging fruit. Next up, let's tackle the crystal clusters then. These require another, oh, I guess I take more Gaia Spirit Ingots. But just another infusion. Doesn't look that bad. So we need 4 for the infusion itself, but each primordial pearl requires 4 to duplicate. And, oh boy. 1 million? Okay, good. 1 million, not 10 million LP. So let's see. I have 1 pearl, so I need, well, I need 16 total crystal clusters. That's going to be a lot of infusions. It turns out that it takes, to make 16 crystal clusters, it takes 32 Gaia spirits, and I had enough spirits to make 32 total, but I have to set 4 aside for the actual mana pool. So let's fight another, oh, that was 10 Gaia Guardians. And Gaia Guardians means 10 more dice. I might have already gotten all the items that come out of them, so that's probably why I got no items out of all 10 dice. Oh well. I guess there's only 6, right? There's 3 rings plus the 3 other items. That's why it's a 6-sided die. Anyways, I also got enough Gaia spirits with plenty of Gaia spirits left for future endeavors, whatever those may entail. So, I guess I have to go do this infusion 16 times. It's a long infusion, too. First 4 crystal clusters are done. Let's set those aside for the mana pool. These are just regular, right? Yeah. I just want to make sure there's not the block version, but it doesn't look like anything uses the block version. Okay. Now 12 left to turn, which we'll use to turn into more primordial pearls. It's not unreasonable just to make a bunch more of these portals and go get 3 more pearls, but I think it's easier to craft them than to farm them. For the sake of doing work in parallel, I was looking at what exactly it took to upgrade, like to duplicate the primordial pearls, and I saw that it takes at least a transcendent blood orb. The Eldritch is an upgrade to the transcendent, and I don't know if it consumes a primordial pearl, but, you know, I don't really need it. So, the transcendent blood orb, however, requires a crystal cluster, first of all, so we need at least an extra crystal cluster, and a tier 6 blood altar. So I think we have to upgrade our blood altar to tier 6, but we only need it at tier 6 briefly. We can reclaim the crystal clusters that form the caps afterwards. So to upgrade the altar to tier 6, I just need to put crystal clusters as the caps and a bunch of runes. I think it's 19 per side, So that's what, like 76 total runes? For no good reason at all, I'm going to make all 76 of those runes superior capacity ones. I'm just curious how much the altar can hold if we do this. So, go. Right now, the altar is at tier 5 with just under 120,000 capacity. Let's swap all these placeholders out for superior capacities. And I expect it'll be like upwards of 1,000,000 because these all stack multiplicatively. I don't think I've ever put this many... I don't know why it skips this one. I don't think I've ever put this many capacity runes on an altar before. Alright, that's all of them, I think. Oh wait, no, skipped one here too. There we go. And now it should be a tier 6 altar. Capacity, oh boy. Is that 166 million? I clearly underestimated the power of exponential growth. That's 166,745,408 LP in the altar. This will take about forever to fill. Good news is we don't have to fill it. We just have to craft a blood orb with it. So, put this ethereal slate away. One problem with the way I have my automation set up is that if it ever fills up the last slot, it kind of just gets stuck, right? Because, you know, it'll never make more, like, until I consume an ethereal slate, it'll never make a slot here to put it to restart crafting of the earlier tier slates. It's a solvable problem, but I just can't be bothered. Alright, anyways, here's a Transcendent Blood Orb. I don't know how much LP it holds. It's a lot. It doesn't really matter how much LP it holds, I guess. Anyways, we'll turn you back on and probably don't need the alarm anymore because 1% of the altar is multiple millions of LP. On second thought, I put the redstone logic back in place because I'm going to reclaim these crystal clusters for use in the creative manifold. Not like we actually need a tier 6 blood altar for anything anymore. At this point, if we count the primordial pearls and crystal clusters as done, which technically they're not, but all that's left is, you know, I have to hit the runic matrix a few times. The only remaining item is this, boy, that's a name, Icorium adorned ichor cloth strapped silverwood wand. So the trouble is that almost all the steps in this are, at least all the hard steps, are arcane infusion steps. So I really just, I just have more work queued on the infusion table. I guess there's one thing I have to farm for this, and that is some of these ender shards. I think these are dropped by the by endermen when you kill them in the end. So endermen that die here don't drop them because they're not in the end. So let's pay a real quick trip to the end and go kill some endermen. Sorry, I need your shards. I should get a magnet too to make this a little bit easier. It's a very rare drop-off enderman. Probably about 1% of them drop an ender shard. So I'm going to be here killing endermen for a little bit. I think every now and then I should head back to the overworld and start a new infusion. In total, I farmed 10, which should be enough, I hope. It's occurred to me that there's a small chance that the primordial crystal is not actually consumed in this recipe. So if that's the case, I actually, you know, instead of netting 1 primordial crystal per craft, you net 2. So I'm going to give it a shot, and hopefully it isn't consumed, in which case I don't have to, no, never mind, it is consumed. About to say, hopefully I don't have to quite make it. I don't have to make quite as many crystal clusters. But no, that's not the case. I guess they don't stack either. They stacked coming out, but I guess no more. Whatever. This here should be the last infusion for crystal clusters, but while that runs, I think all of our draconic flux capacitors are probably done. Do I have 64? Yep, 64 flux capacitors. So let's go ahead and turn them all into energy cells. This is just going to be a whole lot of clicking. You can't even shift click them in. What a shame. Number 1. You're not going to fool me this time, Industrialcraft. I'm going to put on my hazmat suit before I touch your radioactive stuff. And it's time to pick up our solar panels. I'm almost afraid to use this pickaxe because it's, I don't know, like I know I'm going to get the panel back, but it just doesn't feel right. You know, breaking industrial craft blocks with a pickaxe. But whatever. Whatever gets the job done, right? Number 2. Do these stack? They do not. 3. And last but not least, creative energy cell number 4. Now these can also be turned into creative flux capacitors, I think. At least there is a recipe for the creative flux capacitor. The portable one. Oh, I guess it's just it uses lower tier materials. But I'm not going to bother making it because, in my opinion, it's actually worse than the draconic flux capacitor. While it does hold infinite energy, its output rate is limited to 100k a tick, whereas this is not. And it isn't capable of charging, I think, all hotbar. It can only charge held item. So in that sense, it's actually significantly worse than the draconic flux capacitor. So I'm not going to bother making it. Anyways, we can turn those 4 into a creative portable tank. Aha! That is an achievement. To fill up my bathtub with this thing. No trophy though. Anyways, last step is to turn this tank into the mana pool. There are no creative items in this pack, so the Everlasting Guilty mana pool is the final item. There are no uses for it. So anyways, let's put our real armor back. Whoopsies. Oh, I can swap armor without an empty hand. Let's put our armor back on, go get the last of these crystal clusters, and turn all these crystal clusters into primordial pearls. This should be enough to give me a total of 4 primordial pearls, which is exactly how many I need for the Everlasting Guilty mana pool. So 2 and I guess I have to take these out. Yeah, and 4. This just leaves one last item, and that's the extremely long name wand. So step 1 is I have to do this Ichor infusion a whole bunch of times. Hey, at least it won't take quite as long as the crystal clusters did, right? This was 256 aspects. This is half of that. It wasn't until the 4th time I doing this infusion that I actually bothered to count how much Ichor I need. It's not a lot. It's 4 plus 3, 7. So technically I only had to do the infusion once. Anyways, next step is I still have to make the... I guess I need a couple more pieces for the cloths. But I need to still make the rods and the caps, right? So yeah, I need to make some thaumium caps and a silver wood. 32 pieces of Ichor and 2 charged thaumium caps should be enough for the time being. I can make 1 ingot. So these crafts are actually quite expensive, 75 of each aspect. So we're gonna have to wait for the wand to recharge between crafts. I should probably go get the gear off of the wherever I put the auto crafting thing to use it myself, but just for a couple % more reduction. But whatever. I can't be bothered. Anyways, that should let me make the wand caps, I think. Charge caps and nickel. Oh yeah, they're just in my inventory. There we go. So once this wand recharges, I did end up going to get the discount gear. Turns out I also did get a creative portable tank trophy. I just missed it earlier. So it's 75% with my normal gear and 70%. All right, we get a little bit more discount. I mean, every bit counts. So there's 2 caps. Do I have to charge the caps? No, I don't. I just have to make the core. The core involves another infusion, but before I can make that or do that infusion, I have to make this Ichor cloth. Apparently has another step. Enchanted fabric. Can I just... Oh, come on. 1 piece of golden thread short. Here's a big moment. Did past Jimmy leave extra golden thread in the spinning wheel? Past Jimmy, you're a genius. Crafting this wand, once you account for all the substeps, it's going to take about 500 of each aspect, I think. It would be a disaster to try to do it without having the automatically recharging wand. You're going to be running around There's so many nodes recharging your wand otherwise. Anyways, I think now I can do this last infusion. And if my reading of NEI is correct, this should be the second to last infusion we have to do this path. So I just want to make sure, do I have Instrumentium? I do not. Good thing is we have about 1,000 of each ethereal essence just in, here, put it here to distribute it, just from our wisp farm. So if I need any single essence, I'm sure I can find a purer source of it than the wispy essences, but the essence, just using the essence means I don't have to use my brain and try to figure out what actually has Instrumentium in it. This infusion's almost done, and then we can put our super long named wand together. So this wand is actually very good for crafting because it holds 1,000 of each aspect, and it gives pretty good cost reduction, I suspect. Let's see what the actual reduction is. So if we put our actual gear on, doesn't tell me. Do I need a charged wand for the craft? Let's see. No, I need an uncharged one. I'm kind of afraid to put it in here because if, like, I can't see the viscos until I put some vis into it. But I don't know if this recipe strictly requires an empty one. You know what? Here, let's do it anyways. If it turns out I need an empty one, I'll figure out a way to empty the wand out. 59% cost as opposed to 70%. So yeah, it gets the cost reduction pretty low. I'm sure you can get slightly better gear as well. Like right now I have 2% chests and stuff. If you get the other Icar gear, like you get 4% on leggings, 3% on boots, 4% on robe, instead of 2, 2, and 1. But honestly, you're probably chasing pennies at that point. Alright, anyways, I think this wand is the last item we need to complete the pack. So let's grab all these materials and bring them over to the infusion altar for one last infusion. This here is going to be the most unstable infusion we've done for a couple reasons. First of all, it's of dangerous instability just to begin with. And second of all, it's going to take it like literally 20 minutes of sucking in aspects, which means that like instability ticks up over time, I think. So the longer time you spend sucking up aspects, the more unstable your altar, or the more instability is going to be generated by our altar. But I think our altar with its like 30,000 skulls under it is up for the task. So, this is also way more than 20 items, I think. I should count exactly how many it is and put more pedestals up. I counted the items in NEI and it came out to 38, and I counted the items in my chest and I have 38. That's a good sign. So that means I have to add 18 more pedestals. For sake of maintaining symmetry, I added 20 pedestals, and then I'll just leave 2 empty at the end. As long as the 2 empty ones at the end are opposite each other, it should cause no issues. Alright, time to put all the items on the pedestals. My 2 empty pedestals are this one here and the same one directly across from it. So, I think we're good to go. Let's check one quick thing, make sure we have the aspects we need. This uses 512 of each of the basics. So, air, Perditio, Ignis, Terra, Aqua, and what's the last one? Ordo, all 6. Alright. Let's have at it. So again, this infusion, good, it started. I was a little worried it might not start because I charged my wand a little bit, but now it looks like it's good. If it starts, that means it likes all the items that are placed around it. Anyways, yeah, this infusion, because it has to drain in, what is this, 3,000 aspects, I am not kidding you, will take 15 to 20 minutes. At least somewhere in that ballpark. So I'm just going to leave the game running and go do something for a little while. If something gets knocked off a pedestal and despawns, I will be very sad, because I assure you I will not be here to catch it. The end is in sight. I swear, it feels like it's been years since I started this infusion. But anyways, as it finishes absorbing the Essentia, now it starts killing our super precious items. Looking around, it doesn't look like anything got knocked off the pedestals, so there were probably no instability events. But anyways, as this thing goes about destroying all of our precious goodies, I want to talk about what I liked and perhaps didn't like so much about this pack. First of all, one thing to keep in mind though, this pack is old. The Skyblock version here that we're playing is based on the original FTB Infinity Evolved Expert Mode, which I think was the first pack to carry the Expert Mode moniker, the name. And nowadays, I think everyone kind of knows what an Expert Mode pack is, right? It's like the gated progression, cross-mod integration, custom scripting, yada, yada, yada. But given how old this pack is and the fact that it kind of, it almost coined the term, it definitely wasn't the first progression mode pack ever, but it really coined the term expert mode, that's as far as I know. I'd say it stood up to the test of time reasonably well. I really like the way it integrates all, the magic and the tech mods together, and it focuses on doing stuff, not mining or waiting for processing. On that note, though, there are definitely some parts that were a little bit, I wouldn't necessarily say grindy, but it was set up a system and then wait 10 hours. And there was a lot of do this, then wait a very large number of hours for your results, right? Like all the sifting is largely set up a lot of sifting and wait. It requires a ton of mana, so let's set up your mana automation and wait. But I don't know, it's not the worst thing. It just, this pack is kind of unplayable without trunk loading. Anyways, we're on our very last thing. Oh no. Oh wait, no, there's the wand. Please. Everlasting guilty mana pool. Why don't you walk across my swimming pool? Alright, so anyways, this mana pool, I mean, it's just a creative mana pool, right? I can put I'll use it. Put it here. So I can just place it. I don't actually know if it accepts mana. Put a spark on it, put the spark augment, a recessive spark augment on it, and it will just fill every mana pool around that has a spark. So if we need to make mana for whatever reason, it's now trivially easy. Anyways, other things about this pack. I personally, I don't know, it uses IC2. I dislike IC2, but I guess it's bearable. I like where, I like it, you're not required to use logistics pipes in this pack, but it definitely makes things a little bit easier, and I love this version of logistics pipes. It has mechanically speaking, it's very similar to logistics pipes on 112. In fact, functionally, logistics pipes on 112 is better. However, this doesn't have the awful crafting system that logistics pipes on 112 has, and it's easier to use in my opinion, so it works out great. Anyways, that's kind of the gist of it. Draconic Evolution, I like how it's not overused. You do a little bit of Draconic Evolution, but you're not required to kill 20,000 million dragons. Alright, well, I'm going to make a world backup here so that I'll provide that available as a world download in case anyone wants to come see my incredibly laggy world. And then I think we'll wrap things up by blowing everything up. And since we've been relying on these nuclear reactors for power the whole time, I think it would only be appropriate to rely on these same nuclear reactors to send the base away. I've made a world backup, and you guys remember how this pack had a quest book? I don't think I've opened it since episode 15-ish. A lot of quests aren't completed just because I haven't bothered doing their prerequisites, or I just never picked up the item in my inventory at the time when I had the quest book in my inventory to complete them. But I'm pretty sure we're technically at the end here. There's one quest that doesn't show. There's one quest underneath the underneath here, right? You can see the linkage, but for some reason I can't scroll this awful textbook to it, so I guess we'll never know what that quest was, although I'm 99% sure that would be the creative mana pool. Anyways, to send us off, I just want to make sure our backup is done. I'm going to turn off these nuclear reactors, and then we're going to pull out all the components that are not fuel, and guess what happens? Fuel takes their place. Delicious. All fueled up and ready to go. So the size of the explosion of IC2 nuclear reactors is proportional to how much fuel is inside. And you literally cannot put more fuel into these nuclear reactors. So, I want to live, and I don't have armor that would keep me alive through this, so I think I'm just going to put myself in creative mode when I set it off. Alright, well, actually, hold on. I want to make a couple more preparations. I want to turn off, like, drops out of drawers and stuff. I thought there were two game rules governing this, do tile drops and do entity drops. But apparently do entity drops doesn't exist yet, so I set do tile drops to false, and there's nothing here. So hopefully that's enough to keep the game from not crashing. Anyways, I think I'm faster at placing blocks than I am at flipping switches. So, FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock mode, so long, and thanks for all the fish. Oh boy. I think it didn't do what I wanted it to do. There are a lot of drops. Alright, hopefully it all falls into the void, and maybe we can see what's left of our base. Oh, wait. There's something happening. The explosions have definitely happened. Alright, I cannot move. I'm gonna let the explosions finish exploding real quick. The explosion seems to be done propagating, and we're left with a great big crater in our base. I mean, it definitely didn't destroy everything. It's not as big as the Draconic Evolution reactor explosion, apparently, but it did damage far and wide. Our turbines have been Swiss cheesed, and the reactors have taken some damage. Our blood altar is mostly gone. That creative mana pool we worked so hard for, yeah, wouldn't count on seeing that again. But I think that's it for this series. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I haven't figured out what pack I'll play yet, but it'll probably start early next week. And yeah, that's it. Take care. Bye-bye.